Finally, it's happening. Explicit Content.
Yeah.
The new podcast from Digital 22 Studios, the latest podcast from Digital 22 Studios, a content marketing podcast. Something we decided to create for content creators like us, whether you're a writer, journalist, content marketer, a blogger. I guess if you're an in-house marketer, you've been asked to write. This podcast could help you. So yeah, something we've been discussing for a while, and it's finally happening, guys. Nice to have you. Nice to have you.
Yeah. Just as the pubs return, we do the podcast. Yeah. So 2 days of hitting the pub and Monday morning podcast. But looking forward to it. Yeah, it should be good.
Well, I did say we could do it in the afternoon, and you said no. Let's get out of the way in the morning. So not that we're not excited to do it, because I understand. I'm just, my enthusiasm is building.
Definitely. So we are excited. Something we've been talking about for quite a while, so happy to bring you episode 1. Let's just do some quick intros on who we are, so the guys or the listeners know. I'm Raza, senior content marketer at Digital 22. So I lead our content team, work on content strategy, quality control of the work. So I look over all the blog content, download content that goes out, and just generally make sure the guys have enough work to do.
I'll let you go, Will. Ladies first.
So I'm Will, lead generation specialist here at Digital 22. So I work closely with Raza in the same team, the content team. My job's probably split 50-50 content and then HubSpot. So 50% of my job is writing content, working for our clients, working with Raza on my content strategy, help out with that. And then the other side is HubSpot. So once it's written, once the copy's good to go, it's then me building landing pages in HubSpot, emails, workflows, forms. So yeah, anything lead generation, that's me, that's my bag.
So technically I'm not part of the content team anymore, but I am here in spirit because I used to be a fully fledged member. I came in as a content marketer, used to work closely with main man Raza over here, and then I've now taken over the marketing coordinator role for Digital 22. So I do now a lot more than I've ever done before, but I do like landing pages, emails, and it's more from the perspective that I want to give is from sort of in-house role and the type of content that we do, as well as my writing background.
Yeah, we do quite a lot of the same stuff, don't we, to be fair? It's just
you're just doing it
for D22 and I'm doing it for our clients, but there's a lot of crossover between what we do, so...
I just thought it was a nice thing to get us all on. We have been sort of debating who should come on the content podcast because it's very exclusive, obviously, but it makes sense with Raza's background, and you bring the lead generation side of it and I bring the in-house marketing side. I think it's a really nice bunch.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's, with our differing roles, what's good is the first topic links in really well with it. I think it's something nobody can really escape. If you're a writer, you've probably witnessed this or experienced it, or if you haven't yet, you probably will, let's be honest. It's getting comfortable with criticism, whether it's a teammate, whether it's a client, whether it's a randomer leaving you feedback in the comment section. It's something you can't really escape. Content criticism and how to get comfortable with it. Molly, do you wanna kick us off?
Yeah, so obviously we've all, at one point or another, I've proofed your work, you've proofed mine, I've proofed yours. We've all looked at each other's work critically at one point or another. And like I said, I came in as an inexperienced writer, and Raza was the man. He would butcher all my blogs. He actually was nicknamed the Butcher, just because he was so fair, but like firm, which is all you want in someone who's looking at your work. So Raza was obviously looking at it from the agency perspective, and most importantly, the inbound perspective. So coming in as a writer, and as all writers are, we are just inherently protective for no reason over our own work. And you have to drop that as soon as you come into an agency, because you're not writing for yourself anymore, you're writing for clients. And it is a little bit of an ego thing. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on, but I think for me it was just getting comfortable with you looking at my work regularly and thinking, it's not personal, you're doing it for the greater good of the agency, and the client most importantly. So I remember when I came in, and I think way back when, I think we were writing for maybe like B&B Press, which is one of our clients, our long-standing ones, and their blogs are quite relaxed, very close to our Digital 22 tone. Do you write some of the emails for them?
Yeah, and like you say, very, not easy to write for, but enjoyable to write for. It's a nice product, write about print. It's colourful. It's it's nice.
You can get creative with it, which is good. So, and sometimes when you come in as a writer, you already have these ideas of how you want to write it, but it's not about that anymore. So Raza just had to like rein me in, or like too much fluff. That's probably my problem. I'm very fluffy with my words. But coming into an agency, you just have to forget all that. You're a writer for Digital 22 at that point. And me, it was hard, I will admit, because I thought I was like hot shit. I thought I was the best, like coming in, and then Raza going, actually Molly, and this and this is wrong, and the feeling of opening my Google Doc and just being like, red, Raza, I don't like this is changing, but like you said, you were firm, but there's nothing like, and as well the emails, they would come in on the emails as well, and it'd be like 72 comments. I was like, oh no, I'm not as good as I thought I was. And it was a good environment to be in, really, that everyone else was so much better, so it's a good chance to grow with that criticism and feel like you're in the right place where the right people can get you there as well. So I mean, thank you, Raza. This is my PSA that Raza made me the writer I am today.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's a personal thing either. I think when you think about it, I'd rather have someone rip my work to shreds.
Butcher.
Yeah, okay, or butcher. Than nothing, and then it goes to a client, and then they get frustrated, and it's like a teammate's kind of set you up to fail. And you don't want that. You want someone who's probably been here long, and I don't think it's ever a case of butchering someone's writing style. It might be the inbound aspect of it, the buyer's journey aspect of it, all the inbound stuff that someone new has to learn while they're doing it. And I think that's probably the biggest learning curve. Like when someone comes here, you can't teach them how to write. And when you come here, you're a writer.
You have to be a writer already.
Exactly. So it's never a case of like, I don't like this, or you should do it like this. That's subjective. That's up to the writer to whether to accept it or not. But yeah, I think in terms of butchering it, it's mainly just me or anyone else who's QCing work or proofing work, making sure we don't set you or any other writer up to fail, because then that's really unfair.
We're all accountable for the success and passing on that knowledge as well. So like you say, we have the proofer, and it goes back to amends, then we have the QCer, and it's all on our heads to make sure it's right for the client. But actually the first time you get criticism it's a little bit overwhelming, really, especially when you're me and you think that you're the best writer in the world, but quickly fall from grace after you and Jacob ruined my work. But it was for the best, and I wouldn't have had it any other way, actually, because it sets you up for when a client is going to look at your work as well.
100%. I think with that as well, it's what learning from me has been getting to know the person who's sending you their work. I think whoever's listening to this, or whether you're proofing work or you're a writer, get to know the person who's sending it you. So when Jacob, who's part of our content team, I never beat around the bush with him. If something's shit, I say this is shit, change it. He knows it's not personal, it's just straight to the point. But that wouldn't work if I did that to you. I apologise. But if I do that with someone new, who I don't know, who might genuinely take it personal and get upset, that's a big learning for me. And I guess anyone else who is going to look over work to get to know the person, how they would like feedback. You might have to be the arm around their shoulder or something to make sure they don't take it personally and they do take it on board and you don't mean anything by it.
I think that's when it gets trickier, when it goes to the client. Like that's when it's out of your control, isn't it? So obviously everyone's different. Some clients might be blunt, they might be straight to the point, like others might be a bit more constructive. I think for me with feedback, as long as it's constructive, as long as what you're getting told is going to help you make change and take something forward, and then it's all good feedback. It's all, if it's constructive. Whereas some stuff, you look at it and you think, well,
what can I do with that?
That's just annoyed me instead of giving me something to go off. But with the client, I guess that's when it's tricky when you're sending work to a client. They're busy, they haven't got time, they may just be sharp, and that's just something you've got to learn to deal with. And I think the most important thing is how you move forward with it, how it helps you progress as a writer, how it helps you do better work next time around for that client. So it's the same. I mean, it's different. It was different for me because I came in straight from uni, so I hadn't had another job. I mean, I did a placement year or whatever, but I was just like a young whippersnapper, keen for feedback. I just wanted to make sure that what I was doing was right. So I think for me, I've kind of just got used to it. But there's still obviously occasions where it can piss you off and whatnot. But
it does affect you. I don't think it matters experience. I think when you haven't used it and you're out of uni and you're trying to make an impression, it's going to get to you more. But even when you have 10 years of experience and someone criticises it, you do think a bit harsh, but we move on.
I think as well, we used to have a laugh when we used to proof each other's work quite regularly, and sometimes I think when we were writing for the public sector, sometimes I would forget the L in public, and that was a great time. Or
that sounds a bit slow. That's literally
I'd forget the L, and then it'd be but and I think as well. I think what did we do last time? I think we had a client, and it was share a Coke with somebody, but we didn't put the A in it, so it was just share a Coke with such and such a body member. Yeah. But our innocent minds, we didn't pick up on that until I don't even think, did the client pick up on it?
Yeah, they did say it made it sound like share a particular drug with us. But in terms of just Industry 22, you just got to take down the tune, and it's funny.
I thought it was funny. We laughed about it.
It gets picked up. It's not going to go live. We'll change it. I think even with us now, it's not just really boring comments. If something is funny, forgetting the L in public, we won't just put the L in and move on. We're it's an easy mistake to make, and it happens, especially with the volume of content we write. It's not an in-house role, or someone new to it might write a blog a week or a download once every 6 months. But here we're churning out a shitload of content,
3 a day almost.
And that can be the hardest part, can't it? So making sure you do your own QC before it goes to the next person, because you've got so much content to write. Even if you do rigorous look over everything, you're naturally going to miss stuff, and that's why we obviously have that safe haven of sending it to you or sending it to someone internally. We always have, don't we? Before it goes to the client, we make sure that it's on point from what we think. Sometimes it might not be, but
definitely.
I'm always very flattered, Will, when you send me work to look at, because I'm not part of the content team anymore. So when you're like, Molly, can you just look over this? I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll look at it from my perspective, and it's very flattering, and I'll always try and give I probably don't know as much anymore because I've been a bit out of touch with it, but in regards to clients that we've had that are long-standing, I'm I can shed some insight on that.
For Revival, obviously you've written so much content for them. With my new role, I've come on, and it's been quite a quick transition, so any feedback I can get from you, even if it's a bit off the cuff, obviously we've all been working from home, so I might just Google chat you, can you just, does this sound right? And you just directly tweak it, and then bang, we know it's spot on. You know things that I don't, and that's sometimes, but with a client, you might miss stuff. But I always think it's good to if you think you've done something right, don't be afraid to push back. So for example, a client might say, "Oh, this is wrong," but you might have done some research, and from an inbound perspective or whatever, it might be right. As long as it's not incorrect, the information. If there's something that you've tried and it could work, but they don't like it, if you can go back and back it up with a stat or whatever it is, then again, don't be afraid to push back when you think that it's the right thing to do.
Well, that's another level of being comfortable. There's being there's tolerating criticism, and then there's being comfortable enough to actually say, that was, thank you for your feedback, or thank you for this. But actually, after my, 3-4 years of experience, or after my research and your industry expertise together, I think actually we need to go with my initial idea, because ultimately the client is paying for our expertise, and they have all that information, which is great. You can never have too much information from a client about their industry or their business. They know it better than anybody, but we know our specialisms.
Yes, like, so with email, it's such a fine balance, like, get how much copy you put in an email, like, so that it's valuable, so that there's value there, but then you're not waffling, so that can be difficult sometimes, especially when you're talking about like a technical product, or how do you say it short and sharp, and that can sometimes be like a challenge for me and with the client. They may want us to say more than I think we need to, and
because they want to sell their business, but it's not always about that, is it?
That's it. Sometimes you need to just be short, sharp, and that's why we use internal links or whatever, or bullet points, so that you kind of the email's about teasing them, isn't it? Also, like, this, this, that, the other, then click here to read the full blog, and that's how it should work, or download our ebook. But it can be, very easy to just go like happy to start typing away and write more than you need to.
Look at our services. I guess that's why inbound is so important, because you have those different stages of the buyer's journey, and awareness and consideration and decision, and sometimes a lot of criticism that comes our way is because maybe there is that like knowledge gap of inbound, and I guess it's on us and sharing our expertise to bridge that gap, because inbound is still, as we've been doing it for, well, as Digital 22, not me personally, but like Digital 22 has been doing it for 7+ years, and HubSpot it was quite American until up until a couple of years ago. So I think it's still a bit of a grey area for people, because they think digital marketing and they think it's very like hard sell, cold calling, sales emails, copy that's all about me, about us. But inbound is obviously, it's a little bit more gentle, it's a little bit more subliminal in a way. So it's on everyone to bridge that gap. But we're experts for a reason.
I think that kind of links to mine, and how I got comfortable with it. Part of it was Digital 22, but one part of it, I think I've told you this story before in my last job, where the first time I got comfortable with it, it was quite of a shock. It was in my sports background, and I wrote an article, and I forgot what the article's about, but then an American reader commented on it, and Jonathan, you might have to like blur this out, I think. I don't know how far I can go when it comes to explicit, but and I've written it down what he said, because it stuck with me since this day. And he's put, after a load of waffle for 2 paragraphs, he put, this article is, I've heard this writer to Hillary Clinton's photos. And I was thinking,
wow,
where's the correlation there?
Wow.
Like
I remember that story, but it's still as shocking the second time round.
I was thinking, to me,
did it cut deep?
The first part did. Hillary Clinton and stuff, what I do in my spare time.
Were you more a Donald guy? Is that what it was?
I mean, let's not get into politics here, but I think the fact that someone I don't know, who's like probably doesn't have any writing background or anything, it's, this article is shit, just because it didn't appeal to them, like, fair enough. But I think coming into Digital 22, this one again hit me hard, because at the time I joined, there was only me as a writer and someone else. They were on annual leave. Will, you might remember the old office, but he sat in rows. I was by myself on a row, and Paul helped me settle in. Paul from the Video First podcast, he helped me settle in, and I was given a blog to write again for B&B Press, and I gave it to him to look at. And how you felt like I butchered your work, Paul did the same to me, and I sat there and I looked at him and I was thinking, who the is this guy?
Butcher.
This inbound marketer, this inbound strategist telling me, a qualified journalist, qualified writer, so much experience, that I can't do it. Obviously, I very quickly realised, 1, it was shit, because I had zero knowledge of inbound, and 2, I realised he does have he's from a writing background, he's taught English, he's been a writer. So I think the biggest learn for me there is embrace that it's going to happen, whether it's a client or whether it's a random off the internet, whether it's someone in your team, embrace that it's going to happen, because if you don't, you're going to continually get shocked every single time it happens. And I think it will break you down. It'll impact your confidence. And you'll probably be scared to anyway. Because when Paul sent to me, I was very worried about sending him my second piece. Because I was thinking, what's he going to do this time? And with that, I'd say determine what feedback is useful. Because the reason I told those two stories is some guy said my article shit. One guy said he offered me a lot of feedback. And I'm thinking, okay, that's valuable to me because that's going to help me do better content, and it's helped me understood inbound more and how to write more and how to get my point across to the reader quicker, and a lot of tactics that I didn't know, whereas someone who I don't know telling me my article shit, like, what can I do with that? What can you do with that?
It's not valuable, is it?
Yeah. So that would be my advice, is when you do get feedback from a teammate, from a client, from anyone, just really take a step back and look over every comment and think, is this valuable? Is it going to improve the content? If it's subjective, I'd say that's up to you. Like, if you want to accept it or not, it's not right or wrong. But definitely, yeah, try and decide what is valuable and what will improve your content. I know, Will, you said it earlier. If it's going to improve your content in the future, definitely apply it. If not, let it go. What can you do about it? And as you said, drop your ego at the door. Like, when I came in, I don't think I've told Paul this story, so Malcolm was a surprise to him. Obviously, no bad blood or anything, but I just thought, who is this guy? And obviously, you come in thinking you're the best writer there.
Yeah.
I mean, you are brought in for your expertise, like you are a writer, but you got to leave that ego at the door. You're not the best writer around, you're the best writer in the world. There's always more to learn, always more to develop. And I think come in with that mindset to every writing task that you do.
Yeah, I came in and I was one of the youngest members, and I'd come from a creative writing background, but it's a whole different world. And I think my advice would be for anyone who's coming in, or is a writer or wants to come in and do copy in general, is again the ego thing. Like, you are not hot shit. You're good, and you can always be better. I think the first time I actually experienced that is when I went to college as well. Like, when you think you're so good at something, you think you're so good at writing, you think you're so good at like English, and then you go there and everyone else is just as good, if not better. And it is a really like strangely humbling experience, and that's how I felt coming in. And like, you were there, and Jacob, the other content guy, and you guys, I joke about it that you were the butcher, but like ultimately you guys were very helpful, and you helped me, and it's a very touching moment that I'm not in the content team anymore. I'm like so far away.
I think speaking about it as well, I know, Will, you want to talk about self-criticism as well, not just what other people say about your content, but
so I guess like self-criticism is just as important as taking criticism from other people. Like, I think for me, I mean, I'm not saying I'm good at it, but it's something I've tried to embrace, like, through the years of being here. Like, so just an example, like, we had it wasn't too long ago either, we took on a client, and they're quite technical, and we were working on quick deadlines, and I created some work, and it went through all the usual QCs, went to them, and they really did not like it at all. They thought it was absolute garbage. And
you can say shit, that's why it's called explicit content.
Well, it was worse than absolute shit. It was fucking whatever. But after I got it back, they said all this, that, and the other. At first, it was like, that's like cool. I was upset. Like, it cut deep. Like, it's not nice, is it? Getting pretty much told that your work's shit. Yeah. But afterwards, I took some time to reflect, and I actually went back and I looked at the work, and I said to myself, is this really good enough? Like, no, it's probably not. And it will definitely not. It wasn't good enough. I was fuming. I was raging, and for a couple of days I let it fester. I was like, you dickhead, you've let the guys down, you let the team down. This is like a newish client, like, should be doing great work. And then, like, it was like a Friday, I think. I went on a run after work, and I was just thinking about it. I couldn't stop. Like, it's proper building up. So I just got back to my laptop, and I just put in our Google chat, or the team's Google chat, in the feedback channel, I just literally like typed out what was on my mind. I said, look, we did this, we did that, the other, wasn't good enough, like, and stated like what I was going to do next time. So, it's like, always be, comfortable, like, giving yourself feedback as well as taking it off other people, I think.
And we can use those learnings as well. I think for anyone who's watching, we have like a feedback channel in our like Google chat. It's basically where you can put good feedback or room for improvement.
Yeah.
And it's good for self-reflection in there. So, you know, if something's not gone quite right or there's something you could improve on, like you said, you put it in the channel, and we can learn from that as well. So that client is particularly, they know what they want and they're paying for it, which is fair enough. So we could all learn from your experience, and that's why that channel is there, as well as for celebrating successes. There's been plenty of times when, you know, you've done amazing emails or you've really smashed something. Every one of us has done something that has made a client go, wow, that is like the best shit I've ever seen. And we've all been celebrated for that.
There's good feedback and there's bad feedback. You know, obviously the bad feedback at the time, it's not good. Like,
but that's what you remember, and that's never any writer. Like, that's just the way we're programmed. Is you're gonna remember all the bad shit that comes your way. And
get PTSD.
That's what's gonna happen.
But then it's like, it's all about taking it on board, isn't it? And how you know, adapt and move forward, like, because any type of feedback, there's always going to be some kind of golden nugget in there that you can move on from and take away and do better work. Like, we're still young, aren't we, all of us? Like, we're still young.
Maybe not Razza, he's clocking on a bit now. He's going to be in a home soon.
Yeah, he's the veteran of the content team. But like, you know, like, I look at it as how far I've come in the 3 years I've been at D22, like how much my writing has progressed, and that's all down to feedback from you guys, feedback from clients. So at the time it might not be great, but like sometimes just look back and, you know, it's all good stuff. It might feel negative, but ultimately it's positive, because
there's always positive outcomes from it, I think.
Look at it from the good, you know, the positive aspect.
I try.
That's some real wisdom, that Will. I like.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
We're going to use that as the snippet, I think. That was real nice. It was real sweet.
So just before we finish, Molly, it was actually your idea, but I'm taking the credit for it. Something other podcasts don't do, but a quick game. So it's searching the web for the weirdest and strangest terms or words.
I've lost sleep thinking about
that. So we could keep it interesting. We could keep a score. If Jonathan wants to get a scoreboard up or something, track who wins. Just a disclaimer: it's not going to help anyone's vocabulary. It's probably not going to be any terms you might use. But
Jack Crib, if you're watching, you might know this word. We know you are.
So
idiosyncratic of you.
I guess if the viewers or listeners want to play along, we can put the word on the screen. Your word is ecdysiast. If you want me to use it in a sentence, I can.
Yes, can you use it in a sentence, please, Razza?
So, bear with me. This is off the internet. This isn't me making it up, by the way.
Okay.
Who can blame that fabled celebrity connoisseur of ecdysiasts for wearing a mask when he dropped in for a spot of ale at his favourite London strip club?
Okay. Will, do you want to go first?
I don't think I do. Like,
just try and find a definition for it. I feel like it's someone who, if you're thinking like aphrodisiac, it's got like a similar thing at the end, like, hasn't it? Like, can you spell it?
Yes, ECDYSIAST.
Yeah, so it's like, it's gonna be something that is like enjoyable, right? Like it makes you feel some type of way.
Some might enjoy it.
Is he into like? Are we gonna be able to put this on the podcast?
Yes, yeah. It's
I feel like.
Is it sexual?
Yeah, is it?
Fuck yeah, all kind of.
Razza!
Sexual, like.
I feel like it might be someone who enjoys, perhaps. Did you say he was wearing a mask?
Yeah, but I think you're focusing on the wrong bit.
Okay,
that's
alright,
fine.
okay. Is it strip clubs?
Yes, so this is something you would enjoy at a strip club.
Is he a fan of?
Okay, that's Will's guess.
He likes.
What's the word again?
Ecdysiast.
Ecdysiast. Someone who loves. Ecdysiast. I'm thinking like geckos, like.
I'm gonna have to push you for a guess, Molly.
Okay, I think it's someone who likes women who dress up as lizards.
Wow.
That's very obscure,
niche,
but there's always a niche.
Yeah, I admire the creativity.
Yeah.
I think you took it too far.
Yeah,
it's a simple striptease performer.
Really?
Just a striptease.
A striptease performer. An ecdysiast is a striptease performer. I thought that's the best way to kick off explicit content.
Yeah.
So I guess
that's interesting.
I was close.
I'm gonna be technical next time I talk about strip clubs.
How many times do you go?
Well, not at all.
Save that for next episode.
But yeah, so the score's 0-0.
And who's going to host it next time? Should we throw it to you, Will? Do you want to do next one?
Yes, yeah, I can do, yeah.
And
Cool,
you'll have to find the crazy word for us.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for episode 1 of Explicit Content. Thanks for joining me, I guess, and talking about content criticism. I guess this is where we plug all the Diesel 22 podcasts.
And our own, me and Will, and we've got the LinkedIn clout. We like to think anyway, but Will, you can follow Will on LinkedIn. I'm sure we'll put like something up here where it's like, follow Will. You can follow me on LinkedIn and Raza as well. We're always sharing some insights. I don't know how valuable they are for anybody else, but I find them quite interesting. Yeah. And I guess we'll throw a bone to the other D22 podcasts.
Yeah, definitely. Diesel 22 on YouTube. Something for everyone. Project management, SEO, Jonathan's video first podcast, something for everyone there. So definitely check that out. Thanks for joining us. I enjoyed it. We'll definitely be back for episode 2 very soon. Yeah, catch you next time.